Shostakovich. The 3rd of March 2019. This Sunday morning I'm going to the Soviet Lifestyle Museum, which is located just 100 meters down from Kazan Cathedral on the embankment of Griboyedov Canal, House 15. Going upstairs. Добрый день. The Soviet Culture newspaper from 13th of April 1961. Main article about Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space. The sections of avia modeling were pretty popular in the Soviet days. So here we can see the scale model of the Soviet Sputnik satellites. They have made it of vacuum cleaner parts and the parts of photo zoom. Looks good. Futuristic design of some Soviet vacuum cleaners. It looks real good, isn't it? One of the most popular vinyl turntables in USSR, which is called Vega. The first model produced in 1974, and this one, Vega 109 stereo, produced since 1985. The collection of vinyls that were popular back in the Soviet days, including the Beatles. Yes, here was the Beatles madness in the Soviet Union too. So now here is a Hard Day's Night album released in 1964, and this vinyl printed on the Soviet Melodia record label. Vladimir Vysotsky, an absolute superstar of the Soviet Union of the 70s, poet, singer, and movie actor. The Soviet radio receivers and transistors, portable turntable, reel-to-reel recorder and players. Thankful to such a reel-to-reel recorders, the Soviet people got a chance to make it easier to copy their rare vinyls of Western musicians that was not available in the Soviet market. Music corner of the museum with the posters of popular in the Soviet days artists like Kino and Viktor Tsoi. Nobody was more popular than Tsoi and Kino in the end of 80s. These are the collection of guitars gifted mostly by the fans of the museum and later signed with the stars of the Soviet music and some foreign stars who were popular in the Soviet Union days. Small collection of Soviet synthesizers and electric pianos, also just analog instruments like this metallophone. I'm not sure how to play sharps here. Folk instruments like this one. The book Soviet Music. At the 64th page, here is an information about Dmitry Shostakovich. This is definitely one of the greatest Soviet composers ever. Elvis Presley and the Soviet poster of the Beatles. I don't think that any other foreign music bands were more popular than the Beatles in the Soviet Union. Electronica PM01. This is a gift from the legendary Leningrad rock club that was just 1 kilometer from here, where we are now at Rubinstein Street. This used to be their scene mixture, the legendary place, Leningrad Rock Club. Actually, that's where the Soviet and the Russian rock was born. Enough to say that Viktor Tsoi and Kino, his Kino band, was started there. Soviet alarm clocks. I remember that I had this one, the school corner of the museum. Here you can see how is the desktop of the schoolboy or schoolgirl in the Soviet Union could look like. You know, such a desktop, abacus, calculator, electronica, bukvarь. Typical school uniform for the boys in the Soviet days and even earlier 90s, because I remember I had exactly like this one in my first grades. And that's typical dress for a schoolgirls. Bukvarь, the first school book ever for all of the Soviet kids, starts with the portraits of Lenin and the map of the USSR. A lot of colorful pictures. Letter by letter, the kids learn the letters, the words, exercise them on the examples of the pictures. Many pictures shows the achievements of the Soviet Union. Zenit's portable film camera that is completely mechanical. You charge this way without any batteries or so. Just push the button and records on 8mm film. Now this is a real huge can of caviar, black caviar. The device to pay for your rides at the public transportation like bus, tram or trolleybus, which is completely relied on an honesty of the Soviet people, because look, here is no any mechanism that you throw any certain coin and it will give you one ticket. No, it's not so. You can throw any coin and take as much of the tickets as you want, but actually you had to throw certain coin and take just one ticket, and it just was a shame if you will not pay. After the Second World War, the military theme was always big for the Soviet people and Soviet children, so many toys were made on the military theme, like the soldiers and military machines, guns, and pistols. Now there's an electronic shooting range. Look at this revolver. It is charged with so-called pistons. Pistons. It's such a narrow paper with the sulfur spots. When the trigger beats into that sulfur spots, it makes such a specific sounds, like it's shooting. And there was also after that specific spirit. Railroads with the trains produced in German Democratic Republic. Design of these two 134 cigarettes still now looks so good. True Russian vodka, Moskovskaya and Russkaya. Many foreigners are thinking that true Russian vodka is Stolichная, but true Russian vodka is Russkaya. Stolichная became popular in the West because United States, they wanted to export Pepsi Cola to the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union agreed doing that if the United States will agree to import stolichная vodka. I definitely love the Soviet standards of the beauty when the girls are not fat but not that thin. That's the Soviet money, front and back. 1 ruble, 3 rubles, 5 rubles, 10 rubles, 25 and 100. One of the color TV boxes with such a huge cinemascope. That was a big thing back in those days. Popular Soviet magazines: The Health, Murzilka, Around the World, Woman Worker, Farm Girl, Youth, Techniques of Youth, Behind the Wheel. The game Behind the Wheel, which still partly works. It is turning the ring, but the car is not moving. Soviet cosmonaut helmet. Looks so great. Jeans and many uniforms. Soldiers, Marines, pilots. Famous Soviet fur hats, sport hats. I used to have exactly like this one, Adidas. Women's shoes, sport shoes, boots. Sport shoes for men, or to say exact universal shoes. One of the most popular middle-sized bicycles for kids, which is called Shkolnik, schoolboy. Continue exploring the museum and this corridor. Here is a lot of stuff dedicated to the winter sports, like these hockey sticks, gloves, the photographs, posters of great USSR hockey players. Probably the most popular Soviet filters for gas masks, model GP5, JP5, whole set of the documents in the Soviet Union, USSR passport. It's interesting, but still nothing changed too much. And Russian passport too. Like here is an information about your family status, children, your military responsibility, where you registered in Russia, like where you live. This is a Central Communistic Party of the Soviet Union tickets. If you were in party, so you had such a ticket, and here is mostly just for the marks of your payments, military tickets, and information about you as about the soldier, where you served, when, and so. Some Soviet Union Olympic shorts, they are still looks good, and look. Actually, the material was pretty good. Such things are still popular, and nowadays in Russia, many people install this in between of the frames of the doorway to exercise. In the end of the museum, here is the room, which is full of the Soviet households, a lot of stuff. This room now looks a little bit overloaded with the things. Usually the rooms were much more minimalistic, but this is the museum. They just wants to show more of stuff. Look, this thing is a real great thing. The desktop ice hockey. I used to have one, and that was real great, real great. Many people was into the photography in the Soviet Union. Here is the whole collection of the photo cameras, such as brands like Lomo, Zorky, Zenit, and the device for moving the photo from the film to a paper. It's not like now you just copy the file from your flash card to the computer and then just print on the photo printer. Cheburashka, that's very popular cartoon character. And here is a whole collection of the slide projectors. Now you will be able to see one of the Soviet slide projectors in action. You charge it with the film like this. We call it diafilm. Turn off the light, the projection on the wall. You just turn it and the films, the frames are moving. And postscriptum, here is water closet, which is also full of the Soviet stuff. Shostakovich.